Welcome to New Orleans Saints Now. I'm your host, Trce. I have Abby Alonso joining me today. Something kind of crazy happened. We both got to work, and we had no idea what was going on. Everyone started laughing. It was 100% unplanned, I promise, but we wanted to just get things started. Who wore it better? I mean, I think I'm wearing my hoodie pretty damn well. It's the same hoodie if you couldn't tell, but Abby, come on. You wore it better.
The funny thing is, we walked in, and I was like, Trce, one of us has to change. And all the guys were like, no, y'all should see who wore it better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're asking who wore it better. I think it goes well with Trace's hair, but you guys let us know who wore it better. Type T for Trce, type A for Abby, and let's get this thing started.
What's happening, Who Dat Nation? Like I said, my name is Trce. Before we break down a Todd McShay mock draft, Michael Thomas possibly staying with the New Orleans Saints, and Derek Carr, could he get the Saints to the Super Bowl? The latest odds are suggesting that it's actually not that, or it's actually pretty likely. But before we get to that, please subscribe to our channel so that way we can provide you more Saints news, rumors, updates all throughout the NFL offseason. We'll be live we'll be doing coverage during free agency. We'll be going live if there's any big notable signings. We went live for about 3.5 hours yesterday. It got out of hand. Real ones know. So be sure to subscribe, lock us in, and turn on your noties. But without further ado, let's break down this Todd McShay mock draft that dropped earlier this morning. The ESPN draft analyst Todd McShay mocked Bryan, Bresee, the defensive tackle out of Clemson, to the New Orleans Saints. And why this is an interesting thing is because the needs for the offseason, obviously quarterback was a big one. I still think you need a quarterback too, but the big needs I think you should go and address in the draft: defensive tackle, running back, offensive guard, safety, wide receiver, and edge rusher. And at the end of the day, if the Saints have an issue bringing back David Onyemata, I think that Bryan Bresee could actually be an interesting and pretty good replacement. But we have to see what Todd McShay had to say about the Clemson defensive tackle. He said this: Bresee is coming off a tough season. He recorded just 3.5 sacks and dealt with a kidney infection and the death of his sister. But we can see the talent on the tape. At 6'6", 298 pounds, he displays great upper body strength and quick hands. I like the fit as a run plugger in the middle of the Saints defense, replacing free agent David Onyemata. Like we just said, the Saints run D gave up 4.5 yards per carry last season, which ranked 20th across the league. And then when you take a look at what Bryan Bresee was able to do at the NFL Combine this year, it actually was pretty, I wouldn't say it was amazing. I wouldn't say it was bad, but I think that if you have a lot of time missed, you need to be putting up good numbers. 4.86 for defensive tackle, not bad. Not bad for a 40-yard dash, 10-yard split, 171. His vert was a 29 inches. Bench press, 22 reps on the bench. I think that he could be an interesting guy for the Saints to go target. And Abby, if you just want to break down his stats by year for me, just share your thoughts as well.
Yeah, so again, tough year. The kid went through a lot. He had 15 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 2 passes broken up. In 2021, he only played in 4 games and just about matched those stats with 13 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and no passes broken up. But I think you gotta give him a break after this past season. You lose your sister, you have a kidney infection. It's just a lot happened to kind of keep him from producing like the film and the tape says that he can. And if you have NFL analysts coming out and saying this kid will be a good run plugger, which the Saints are in desperate need of, I think you take that into account. It's not just all about numbers, and we know that. If you watch football, you know damn well that it's not just all about numbers. Do the numbers help? Of course. Do you want to see good numbers in the stat boxes? Absolutely. But you have to look at the film and the tape and see how this player affects the people around him and how he works well with the rest of his teammates. And I think he does a good job of that. I'm not totally against this mock draft at all. Some other defensive tackle draft targets that could be looked at, maybe picked up by the Saints. Jalen Carter, who just got in a little bit of trouble with some car racing, I think it was. That will probably be overlooked. You never know. I don't know. But yeah, he just got in a little bit of legal trouble, so we'll see what happens to him in the draft, whether it'll hurt his draft stock or not. Siaki Ika from Baylor Kalijah Cansey, Massey Smith, and Keanu Benton, all guys that could go to the Saints, to another team. They're good defensive tackles. We'll see where they end up. But who would you draft at 29 overall? Thank God we have a first-round pick. God bless. But with that 29 overall pick, who would you grab? Would it be a defensive tackle? Would it be a receiver? Would it be a quarterback? No, better not be a quarterback. We just signed Derek Carr. But let me know in the comment section who you would draft if you were Mickey Loomis. And of course, how many Saints fans follow the NFL draft? A lot. Most. There's always drama around the NFL draft. And guess what? Chat Sports just started a new NFL draft channel. You better go follow it because we're trying to show out. They've got all the mock drafts, the analysis, the rumors, the trade deals, everything you could possibly want to know about the draft. Not even just for the Saints, but for all 32 teams. They've got it on that channel, and we're in a competition right now, and Who Dat Nation, you better show up and show out. We're trying to grow the channel because the more subscribers we have, the more videos you guys get. But if we have more Saints fans follow or subscribe to the channel, we get bragging rights in the Chat Sports office. So go down to youtube.com/chatNFL, subscribe to the channel, and type Saints in the comment section of the most recent video so that we can show them that Who Dat Nation is not playing.
All right, guys, and so coming up next on today's show, we're going to get to Michael Thomas rumors here at the end of the show, but let's talk about the Derek Carr contract and what him coming to the New Orleans Saints means and why it was such a good move. So the contract breakdown is as follows. It's kind of hard to understand at times because I understand when you looked at the headline, it was 4 years, $150 million, but that's realistically not actually how it shakes out. So here's just how it goes. 2023, $7.2 million cap hit. 2024, $35.7 million. 2025, $45.7. 26, $55.7. Void year in 2027 at a $5.7 million contract. But guys, at the end of the day, here's realistically how it actually shakes out. Derek Carr is actually realistically on a 3-year, $100 million deal with $50 million in salary for 2026. And the Saints can actually get out of the contract in 2 years. And on top of that, Derek Carr also has a no-trade clause. So that's interesting because he also had a no-trade clause with the Raiders. So that's worth noting. But it's still exciting nonetheless. And at the end of the day, I think that it could – it's hard to determine right now whether or not it's a good contract for the team, whether it's for Derek Carr, or well, not the good, but it's more team friendly or not. But what I will say is I think that with the contract, it gives you the ability to bring in a couple guys with that $7 million cap hit this year. I mean, you can still go and sign some good wide receivers, some good offensive line help, some defensive help. I think that these are all guys that you should target. And Abby, I don't know if you've actually seen this yet, but here's the odds to win the NFC South after the Saints have signed Derek Carr. I kind of like these numbers. Well,
I mean, you look at the current state, or not the current state because it's changing, but how the NFC South looked last season, and it was atrocious. It was a flaming pile of garbage. I hate to say it, but we all know it's true.
Yeah.
So to see the Saints on the leaderboard of the NFC South predictions, we're back, baby. We're back.
We're so back.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
No,
okay. Yes, we made
yet.
a step. We signed Derek Carr, which again I believe was probably the best move we could have made during the offseason. And he does have kind of some pull. There's a lot of people who respect him in this league. He may be able to get some guys over to New Orleans, so that those odds could go up. You know, it's nice to see, though. It really is.
Absolutely. And then more importantly, if you win the NFC South, you want to go to the big game, you got to win the NFC as a whole. And this was pretty fun to pull up as well. Odds to win the NFC, 49ers plus 350, Eagles plus 400, Dallas Cowboys plus 600, New Orleans Saints plus 1,100, as well as the Detroit Lions. This coming in from FanDuel. I saw it on NFL Network. I thought it was worth sharing with the squad. And then, Abby, here's the thing. Everyone's going to be asking, well, what about the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl odds after signing Derek Carr for the Saints to win are plus 3,000, which before they signed Derek Carr, when you went to bed, Today's Tuesday. When you went to bed Sunday night, the Saints odds to win the Super Bowl were plus 4,000. When you woke up and you went to bed yesterday after the Saints signed Derek Carr, they are now plus 3,000.
That's wonderful. That's great. But let me be very
cool.
clear and real. Yes. Did we take a huge step for the franchise? For sure. You brought in a veteran quarterback who is not bad. He's okay. He's pretty good. I think we see a lot better playing this year. I think you see the level of football just kind of go up for the Saints, and we kind of start to get back to maybe a little bit more of a winning kind of culture.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what we've seen a couple years ago with Sean Payton and Drew Brees, I think we start to move towards that trend. I don't think a Super Bowl is in our cards this year. As much as maybe do some voodoo magic and whatever you got to do, go to church, but I don't know that a Super Bowl is in the cards this year.
Yeah,
Could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope we're both wrong as well. I agree with you. I think it's realistically the Saints aren't going to win the Super Bowl, but I definitely will say after yesterday's move and depending on how the draft and the rest of free agency shakes out, depending on who you potentially cut, move on from, there's still a lot of things that could happen to even further help the Saints make a push for a Super Bowl. I think it's very clear that the Saints staff and the team believes that they could go win now. That's why they went and signed Derek Carr. That's why they paid him the money they did. That's why they still are trying to make moves, moving money around to make some changes to the roster and make some additions to make the team better.
Right.
But who knows what'll happen? And I'm just going to ask you guys this real quick. How many games do you think the Saints are going to win with Derek Carr? I'm curious as to what y'all think because I predicted it yesterday. I think that they could win up to 10. I think that 10 wins is not out of the question. I think that that's pretty realistic for the Saints. I think that you can easily go and sweep the Falcons. I think you can easily go and sweep the Bucs this year. The Panthers, you may be split, so that's what? 5 games that you already have, and then you have to just go win 5 out of division games. I think that that's very doable for the New Orleans Saints, especially with this new roster. But you guys let me know. Share your thoughts in the comments section. And here we go. Could Michael Thomas be staying in New Orleans? If you clicked on this video for this reason, let's talk ball. Because Michael Thomas yesterday, he got on Twitter after the Saints signed Derek Carr. And if we all remember, Abby, a lot of people were saying, well, they restructured his contract. He's gone. He's not sticking around. But did you see this tweet?
I sure did. I did see that tweet, and I have a couple things to say about it.
Yeah.
One, it looks like before this all happened, it's safe to say that there were questions about Michael Thomas even wanting to be in New Orleans. I think that was a common trend throughout. A lot of Saints fans were like, dude, you don't want to play? You just go somewhere else kind of thing. But seeing that tweet kind of made me feel like, oh, he's excited.
Yeah.
He feels like he's got a quarterback that maybe he can work with now and that maybe is going to be another push for him to either get healthy or want to play here. So I think that was promising. I like to see that from Michael Thomas, for some excitement coming from him about the quarterback that just got brought to New Orleans. I am here for it.
Absolutely. And of note, also kind of interesting, he didn't just put that tweet out. This graphic got posted by the Saints. They said, welcome to the team. Guess who retweeted it? Michael Thomas. He retweeted. He was showing some love to it. It's interesting, and Jeff Duncan even spoke on it the other day, and he was talking about the possibility of Michael Thomas coming back, and here's what he said. Some are optimistic that he will return. Others believe he has already moved on and just waiting for the Saints to cut the cord, which I understand why he might or why he believes that, and I understand why he thinks that, but I think that at the end of the day, if you can get Michael Thomas back and you can get him healthy, you can get him, to a point where he is playing consistent football every year. He can easily, or not even every year, but he's playing consistent football. I don't think we can count him out as being a top 5, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. We saw what he did in week 1. I mean, the dude put the entire team on his back in the fourth quarter to beat the Falcons last year. F Atlanta in the comment section. But also, the dude can ball. He's a good football player. And This is just kind of our take on all of this. We would love to see Michael Thomas back, but here's our thing. If the Saints can get a new and cheaper contract, if they can get him not even restructure, but if you can just give him a new contract where he takes less money, why not run it back? A big need is the contested catch guy. Can't guard Mike. can catch contested balls. He is very good at doing those kind of things, and I think that it would make sense for the Saints to just say, hey, let's make this contract cheaper. If you want to stay, we got you a quarterback. We got you what you need.
Right.
Let's make this happen, and let's do this because, I mean, the stats were impressive last year, Abby. What are your thoughts on all this?
I think before this happened, like I said, I think kind of like Jeff Duncan said, some people were optimistic he'd come back, but the majority of people were kind of over it, to put it lightly. It was just, gosh, every season it's something else. You played 3 games this season. You did great, but like now we can't use you again.
Yeah.
Again, the question, do you even want to be here? It felt like we were all just kind of waiting for them to part ways because there seemed to be a little bit of bad blood between Michael Thomas and the training staff. That's been developing over the past couple years. But with Derek Carr coming, and that tells you something about Derek Carr. If he's able to take a situation that was kind of iffy in the Saints front office and there was some weird tension between a receiver and the staff, and he's coming in and he's got this receiver turning around saying, hey, I'm kind of excited to be here, let's do it, then I think that tells you a lot about Derek Carr, 1. 2, I don't think Michael Thomas is going anywhere. I think I'm kind of back on board on like, okay, if you're remotivated and you're excited to be here and you want to play ball with Derek Carr, let me see it. Let's negotiate your contract, do what we need to do, and let's run it back. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But I think, again, this is a guy who, when he is healthy, he is elite. That is not a question.
Facts.
There
Absolute
is
fact.
Michael Thomas is one of the best. The problem is the health.
Yeah.
And let's hope that is all out of the way and it's in the past and he's able to rehab and move forward. And again, I think there's something to be said about this new excitement that he is publicly putting out there for everyone to see. And I think this could be a good thing.
It could.
I think it could.
It definitely could be a good thing. And I actually saw a video that Nick Underhill over at NewOrleans.football put out on Twitter, and he was even backtracking a little bit. And he said, I even probably jumped the gun a little bit on saying Michael Thomas is done. He's like, I understand. Based on how the contract was laid out, based on the things that we were hearing, he was believing that it seems like the relationship is going to be parting ways.
I think a lot of us did that.
I think I would agree. I believe most of us kind of agreed with that and agreed with the reports and that belief. But at the end of the day, who knows? I mean, there's still a lot of time in this offseason. The Saints can make something crazy happen. And if they do anything with the money during the offseason, it's moving around a lot. But, guys, you know the drill. The show isn't about us. It's all about you, the Who Dat Nation. Do you want Michael Thomas to stay in New Orleans? Type S for stay. Type G for let him go. Abby, you got anything else for him?
Y'all better tell me I wore this sweatshirt better than Trce. I'm going to be real hurt.
All right, awesome, guys. Y'all stay golden. We'll catch you next time. See you tomorrow.